Ethan Varro stepped off the shuttle and onto the barren surface of the planet. The landscape stretched endlessly before him, a mixture of jagged rocks and pale sandy plains. The sky was a muted purple, streaked with faint bands of white clouds, but there was no sign of life. No wind, no birds, no movement at all. For most people, this place would feel empty and hopeless, but for Ethan, it felt like freedom. He had left Earth behind. The crowded cities, the endless noise, the politics, the constant pressure, it had all become too much. Every day felt like a race he didn't want to run, and every night brought dreams of chaos and failure. When he had discovered the coordinates to the abandoned alien outpost on this distant planet, he had felt a spark of hope. It was a chance to start over, to build something new, to find peace. The outpost loomed ahead, half buried in dust and rock. Its architecture was alien yet strangely elegant. The walls curved in smooth arcs, made of a material that glimmered faintly under the planet's dim sunlight. Strange symbols were etched along the edges, patterns Ethan could not recognize. Even from a distance, he could see that the place had been abandoned for centuries. But it had survived, untouched by time and weather, as if it had been waiting for someone like him. Ethan carried a single backpack and a small portable habitat module. He dropped the pack and stretched his arms, feeling the alien air on his skin. It was dry and cool, carrying a faint metallic tang. He smiled. Here there were no rules, no expectations, no judgment. Just him and the outpost. He approached the main entrance. The door was massive, sliding open at a light touch as if it recognized his presence. Inside, the air was stale but still breathable. Dust covered every surface and the walls hummed faintly, resonating with a quiet energy. Strange consoles lined the corridors, some flickering with dormant lights. Ethan felt a thrill run through him. This was more than a shelter. This was a mystery waiting to be solved. Setting up his habitat was his first priority. He unpacked the small module and activated it. Within minutes, it expanded into a compact living space with basic amenities: a bed, a kitchenette, a small workstation, and a communication array. He felt the familiar satisfaction of organization, of preparing a space to call his own. Here he could work, rest, and explore without interruption. That night, as he lay in his bed, Ethan felt the weight of silence. The outpost was quiet, almost too quiet. Every creak of the metal walls echoed through the corridors. And then he noticed it, a faint flicker of light deep inside the outpost. At first he thought it was a reflection from his own habitat lights, but the flicker persisted, coming from a side corridor he had not yet explored. Curiosity gnawed at him. He told himself it was nothing, perhaps a remnant of the outpost's old systems, but he could not shake the feeling that something was there, watching. He drifted to sleep with that thought, dreams filled with shadows and whispers of forgotten voices. The next morning, Ethan set out to explore. He moved cautiously through the corridors, his boots echoing against the smooth alien floors. Panels and consoles lined the walls, some broken, some still faintly glowing. Symbols and diagrams were etched into the metal, depicting unknown machines and strange star maps. He ran his fingers over the carvings, marveling at their precision. The aliens who built this place were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. He came across a room filled with large cylindrical containers, long since emptied. Some held strange, hardened residues, the remnants of experiments long forgotten. He could almost feel the presence of the scientists who had worked here, as if the walls themselves remembered. Despite the emptiness, Ethan felt a connection, a sense that this place had purpose beyond his understanding. As he explored further, he discovered a small library of holographic discs stored in transparent cases. He carefully retrieved one and placed it in a console. A faint blue light illuminated the room, and a hologram flickered to life. The projection was fragmented, a series of images showing alien landscapes, strange creatures, and complex machinery. Text appeared in symbols he could not read. Ethan felt a thrill of discovery. He did not understand the language, but the visuals told a story. The aliens had been advanced, far beyond human technology. They had built starships, explored distant systems, and conducted experiments that challenged the very limits of science. And yet they had left this outpost behind, abandoning it without explanation. Hours passed as he sifted through the holograms, piecing together the fragments of history. He imagined the scientists working tirelessly, cataloging their discoveries, warning each other of dangers he could only guess at. He felt a mix of awe and sadness. The outpost was a monument to brilliance and to loss. As evening approached, Ethan returned to his habitat. He prepared a simple meal and sat by the small window, looking out at the barren landscape. The planet's silence felt different now, not empty but full of potential. He had work to do, discoveries to make, and perhaps a purpose he had never imagined. That night, the flickering light returned. This time, Ethan could see it more clearly. It came from a corridor near the heart of the outpost, a place he had not yet dared to explore. The light pulsed gently like a heartbeat, as if the outpost itself were alive. Ethan felt a mix of fear and excitement. He was on the edge of something incredible. He could not sleep. The light drew him, a magnetic pull he could not resist. He grabbed a portable scanner and a flashlight, moving silently through the corridors. The walls seemed to stretch endlessly, twisting in ways that defied human architecture. Strange machinery lined the halls, dormant but not lifeless. He felt the hum of energy under his feet, a subtle vibration that made his heart race. Finally, he reached the source of the light. A small chamber lay before him, its door slightly ajar. Inside, the light emanated from a console, its screen flickering weakly. Symbols glowed faintly, forming patterns that seemed to shift when he looked directly at them. Ethan approached cautiously, running his scanner over the device. It was old, perhaps centuries beyond human technology, but it still held power. The scanner detected a low-energy reading, a heartbeat of sorts. And then, as he touched the console, the light flared, bathing the room in a brilliant blue glow. A holographic projection sprang to life, depicting an alien figure. It was a scientist dressed in a suit unlike anything Ethan had seen, moving through a laboratory filled with strange devices. The projection spoke, not in words, but in images and emotions. Ethan felt a wave of thoughts flood his mind. Discovery, urgency, fear, hope. The aliens had been conducting experiments here. Experiments that could change the understanding of life and intelligence. But they had abandoned their work, leaving the results behind for someone else to find. Ethan stepped back, heart pounding. The realization hit him. He was no longer just an explorer. He was a witness to history, standing on the threshold of knowledge that humanity had never imagined, and he was alone. Yet despite the fear, a sense of purpose filled him. He had come here to start over, to escape the chaos of Earth. But now, he realized, he had stumbled into something far greater. The outpost was not just a shelter. It was a gateway, a place of discovery, of possibility, of danger. As he left the chamber, Ethan felt the eyes of the outpost upon him. Whether it was a machine, a memory, or something more, he could not tell. But he knew one thing: his life had changed. The abandoned outpost was no longer empty. It was waiting, and it had chosen him. That night he lay in his habitat, staring at the ceiling. The stars outside were distant and cold, but he felt a warmth within him, a spark of excitement, curiosity, and determination. Tomorrow he would explore further. Tomorrow he would uncover the secrets of the alien outpost, and perhaps, just perhaps, he would discover something that could change not only his life, but the future of humanity itself. Ethan closed his eyes, listening to the soft hum of the outpost. The light flickered again in the distance, steady and persistent. It was a promise, a challenge, a whisper of the unknown, and Ethan, for the first time in years, felt truly alive. The morning light spilled through the thin windows of Ethan's habitat. The soft glow highlighted the alien architecture around him, the curves of walls and hallways that seemed almost alive under the strange sun. His mind raced with the images from the holographic projection he had discovered the night before. The alien scientist, the laboratory, the strange experiments, all of it lingered in his thoughts. He knew he had only scratched the surface of the outpost's secrets. Today he would explore further. Ethan stepped out of his habitat, his boots crunching over the dusty floor. The corridors were quiet, but he could sense energy lingering in the air. It hummed faintly beneath his feet, a rhythm that almost matched his heartbeat. The outpost was not empty, not really. It remembered. Somehow, in ways he could not yet understand, it remembered the presence of life, and now it was aware of him. He decided to return to the chamber where he had found the holographic console. The light had been flickering there last night, as if inviting him back. As he approached, he noticed the symbols on the walls had changed slightly. Lines that had been static now glowed faintly, shifting in patterns that seemed almost like writing. Ethan ran his hand over them. The symbols pulsed under his touch, and he felt a strange connection, like the walls were trying to communicate. Using his scanner, Ethan began to document everything. He recorded the symbols, the architecture, the layout of the room. He tried to decode the patterns, searching for anything familiar. Hours passed, and yet the symbols remained a mystery. Still, he felt that they were important, that they held a key to understanding the alien civilization. He had a growing sense that the outpost had more to offer than mere shelter. It held knowledge, power, and history that could change his life, and perhaps humanity itself. As he moved deeper into the outpost, he found a large chamber filled with consoles, each one covered in layers of dust. The room smelled faintly of metal and time, a strange combination that reminded him of old libraries back on Earth. He wiped off a panel and activated it. A soft hum filled the room and a hologram flickered to life. This one was different. It displayed a star system Ethan did not recognize, filled with planets, moons, and orbital stations. Lights pulsed along the planets, tracing unknown paths. Ethan watched, fascinated. The hologram showed structures orbiting the planets, machines that were far beyond human technology. They glowed with energy, moving in ways that defied gravity as humans understood it. The aliens who built this outpost had clearly been advanced in ways that humans had only dreamed of. Ethan felt a thrill. For the first time in years, he felt like he was on the edge of discovery. He explored the consoles further, and then he noticed a small storage compartment built into the wall. It contained discs, similar to the ones he had found before, but these were labeled with the alien symbols he had been tracing. Carefully, he placed one in the console. The hologram shifted. This time it showed an alien figure much like the scientist from before, but different. This figure was older, with long robes and an air of authority. He moved through a laboratory, gesturing to assistants, instructing them in ways Ethan could not understand. Images flashed across the room. Experiments with glowing spheres, devices that bent light and energy, creatures that were carefully monitored in transparent chambers. Ethan's pulse quickened. The aliens had been experimenting with life, with energy, and possibly with intelligence itself. He realized the outpost had not been just a research center. It had been a hub of discovery, a place where the greatest minds of this alien civilization had worked on projects of incredible scale. Suddenly, the console flickered. A warning symbol appeared, a triangle with lines that pulsed like a heartbeat. Ethan stepped back. He did not understand the warning, but instinct told him it was serious. He tried to shut down the console, but it would not respond. Then, as if triggered by his presence, the hologram shifted again, showing a sequence of events in rapid succession. A shadow passed through the outpost, machines activating uncontrollably, alarms blaring in silence. The aliens moved with urgency, evacuating sections of the station, and then the outpost went dark. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. The aliens had abandoned this place suddenly. Something had forced them to leave everything behind. And now he was the first human to step inside since that day. The weight of history pressed upon him. Whatever had driven the aliens away, he knew he needed to understand it. But he also understood that he was treading in territory far beyond his experience. Determined, he moved deeper into the outpost. He discovered a hallway with doors partially sealed, as if the aliens had intended to hide something. Using his scanner, he detected faint energy readings behind one of the doors. With effort, he pried it open and revealed a chamber unlike any other he had seen. The walls were lined with crystalline structures, glowing faintly in soft blues and purples. In the center of the room, suspended in a translucent pod, was a form that seemed alive. Ethan could feel it, though it made no sound and moved not at all. He approached cautiously. The pod was filled with a strange fluid, and the form inside was humanoid in shape but distinctly alien. Its skin shimmered almost translucent, and its head was elongated with delicate features. Ethan reached out, hand trembling, and touched the pod. The fluid pulsed gently. A sensation washed over him. Not pain, not fear, but awareness. He felt something deep within the pod, a spark of life that seemed to connect with his own thoughts. Ethan stepped back, heart racing. The realization hit him like a bolt of lightning. This entity was alive, somehow preserved in stasis for centuries. And somehow it was aware of him. His mind reeled. The outpost had not been abandoned because of failure or neglect. The aliens had left this place with purpose. They had preserved this being for a reason, and now it was awakening. He studied the pod carefully. Symbols along the walls seemed to pulse in response to his presence. The entity inside did not move, yet he could feel a connection forming, subtle and powerful. Thoughts and images brushed against his mind. Visions of strange machines, of energy and light, of creatures shaped by intelligence beyond imagination. The entity seemed to be communicating without words, showing him fragments of knowledge that the aliens had hidden for centuries. Hours passed. Ethan moved around the chamber, documenting everything, trying to understand what he was witnessing. The connection grew stronger. He could sense emotions, curiosity, urgency, and something else, something like hope. The aliens had built this place not only to study, but to protect. And now Ethan realized he was part of that purpose. By nightfall, he had returned to his habitat, exhausted but exhilarated. The outpost no longer felt empty. It was alive in ways he could not fully comprehend. The entity in the crystalline pod had awakened a curiosity in him that he had never felt before. This place was not merely a relic of another civilization. It was a bridge, a link to knowledge and power beyond human understanding. Ethan knew he had to proceed carefully. The outpost held incredible technology, and perhaps incredible danger. The images from the holograms hinted at experiments that could alter life, intelligence, and energy itself. But the potential was undeniable. Humanity could benefit from what he was discovering if he could learn its secrets. That night he lay awake, staring at the ceiling of his habitat. He could feel the pulse of the outpost, the subtle hum of energy that filled the corridors. The light from the crystalline pod seemed to reach even to his small room, a reminder that he was not alone. He had come here to escape, to start over, but the outpost had chosen him for something greater. Ethan closed his eyes, imagining the possibilities. He could repair the outpost systems, unlock the knowledge hidden within, and perhaps even communicate fully with the entity. The aliens had left their work unfinished, and now he had the chance to continue it. The thought thrilled him, even as a shadow of caution lingered at the edge of his mind. Tomorrow he would explore further. He would enter chambers he had not yet dared to touch, activate consoles he had not yet understood, and perhaps uncover truths that no human had ever known. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt that he was exactly where he needed to be. The abandoned outpost had become a place of discovery, a place where the past and future met, and where humanity might one day find its true potential. And deep inside the outpost, in the crystalline chamber, the entity pulsed faintly, aware of him, waiting, and ready to reveal its secrets to the one human who had dared to step into its world. Ethan woke to the soft hum of the outpost vibrating through the floor beneath his habitat. The memory of the crystalline chamber and the entity inside had kept him awake most of the night. He felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness, as if he were standing on the edge of something far bigger than himself. Today he decided he would explore the chamber again, this time with purpose. He packed his tools carefully, scanners, portable lights, and a small console interface he had managed to repair. He wanted to understand the entity, but he also wanted to proceed safely. Every step he took toward the chamber made the air feel heavier, as though the outpost itself were aware of his intentions. He could feel a subtle energy in the corridors, pulsing faintly, almost like a heartbeat, in rhythm with his own. He reached the chamber. The crystalline pod stood at the center, glowing softly. The entity remained suspended, its form delicate and alien, shimmering under the faint light. Ethan's breath caught as he stepped closer. Unlike last time, he felt a stronger sense of connection, a strange awareness that the entity was aware of him, watching, sensing, learning. Ethan activated his scanner and ran it across the pod. The readings were unlike anything he had ever seen. The energy signatures were dynamic, shifting and responding to his presence. He carefully adjusted the settings, and then a subtle vibration pulsed through the floor. The entity's crystalline surface shimmered brighter, as if responding to the machine's hum. Tentatively, Ethan reached out, placing a hand against the pod. The moment his skin touched the smooth surface, a wave of images and feelings washed over him. They were not words, not sounds, but emotions and visions, memories of the alien civilization, their achievements, their fears, and their failures. Ethan's mind reeled as he understood the purpose of this outpost. It had been more than a laboratory. It had been a place of preservation, a sanctuary for knowledge and life itself. The entity pulsed again, and this time the visions sharpened. Ethan saw star systems, planets, and strange energy constructs he could barely comprehend. The aliens had been trying to understand life on a universal scale, experimenting with intelligence, adaptation, and survival. And then he saw a shadow. A dark, looming threat approaching the outpost. The aliens had evacuated in haste, abandoning everything except the entity, preserving it against what was coming. Ethan staggered back, his mind racing. The threat had not reached this planet, at least not yet. But the outpost had been built to withstand danger, to guard its secrets, and now he was part of the equation. The entity, though silent and still, seemed to beckon him. It wanted him to understand, to learn, and perhaps to continue the work the aliens had begun. He spent hours in the chamber, moving carefully around the pod, documenting everything he could. The entity's presence was overwhelming, yet oddly comforting. He realized that it was not hostile. It had been waiting for someone capable, someone human. The aliens had designed it to awaken only in the presence of intelligence and curiosity, strong enough to comprehend their knowledge. By evening, Ethan had learned to control his fear. He returned to his habitat, exhausted but exhilarated. He reviewed the data he had collected, trying to interpret the visions and feelings he had experienced. The entity seemed to contain a kind of intelligence amplification, a repository of knowledge that went beyond memory, into instinct and understanding. Humanity could learn from it, if only he could unlock its secrets safely. Over the next few days, Ethan dedicated himself to exploration and study. He mapped the outpost, cataloged its systems, and repaired malfunctioning machinery. The entity responded subtly, pulsing with energy as he worked, almost as if it were guiding him. It showed him fragments of alien technology through visions, devices that manipulated energy, constructs that could alter gravity, machines that could analyze life in ways he could barely imagine. Ethan realized that the outpost was designed to teach, to guide a capable mind through discovery. Every corridor, every chamber, every console contained lessons and warnings. The entity was both teacher and guardian, and as he learned more, Ethan felt himself changing. His mind processed information faster, his intuition sharpened, and he began to see patterns and solutions where before there had been only confusion. One day, as he explored a previously sealed hallway, he discovered a small control room filled with panels that seemed to respond to his presence. He activated one, and the room lit up with holographic projections. This was the command center, the heart of the outpost. Lights pulsed along the walls, mapping energy flows, machinery, and hidden chambers. The entity responded instantly, its glow intensifying. Through the projections, Ethan saw more of what the aliens had created. Automated drones patrolling the outpost, systems designed to defend against intruders, and compartments holding alien specimens and devices. He understood now why the outpost had been abandoned. The technology was powerful but dangerous. A single mistake could trigger destruction. The aliens had preserved the entity not just for knowledge but as a safeguard. As he studied the systems, a thought occurred to him. The entity, though dormant in many ways, seemed capable of interaction. It could amplify his intelligence, provide insight, and perhaps even communicate directly. Ethan decided to take a risk. He connected a portable interface to one of the consoles, attempting a more direct connection to the entity. The moment he activated the interface, a wave of energy pulsed through the chamber. Ethan felt his mind expand, thoughts moving faster than ever before. The visions returned, more vivid this time, and he could feel the entity's awareness brushing against his consciousness. It was like a conversation without words, ideas, instructions, and warnings flowing directly into his mind. He saw the outpost's design in a new way. Energy conduits, hidden chambers, and pathways that had been invisible to him before. The entity showed him how to navigate the outpost efficiently, how to repair systems, and even how to activate dormant devices safely. Ethan realized that the aliens had anticipated someone like him, someone who could think, learn, and act with both caution and curiosity. Days passed in this way. Ethan and the entity formed a bond, a partnership built on trust and mutual curiosity. He learned to interpret the visions more clearly, to anticipate the entity's guidance, and to approach the outpost systems with confidence. He repaired consoles, activated dormant machinery, and discovered hidden compartments filled with alien artifacts. One evening, while reviewing a set of holographic logs, Ethan noticed a recurring warning symbol. It depicted a dark shape approaching star systems, a destructive force that the aliens had feared. The entity pulsed strongly as he viewed the images, as if urging him to understand the danger. Ethan realized that the outpost had been abandoned not only to preserve knowledge but to protect the galaxy. The aliens had left a warning, and perhaps a responsibility, for whoever came after them. Ethan felt a mix of awe and responsibility. He had come seeking a fresh start, a life away from Earth's chaos. Instead, he had found a mission, a purpose that reached far beyond his own survival. Humanity could benefit from the knowledge of this outpost, from the guidance of the entity, but only if he approached it wisely. Late that night, Ethan returned to the crystalline chamber. The entity pulsed gently, acknowledging his presence. He placed his hand on the pod and felt the familiar wave of visions and emotions. This time, he reached deeper, exploring the limits of the connection. He saw the full scope of the outpost's design, defensive systems, energy amplifiers, and hidden archives that could change human understanding of science and life itself. The entity communicated a single, clear thought. The outpost was a test. Those who arrived here were chosen by circumstance, but only those who proved themselves capable could access its full potential. Ethan understood now that he had passed the first stages of the test. He had learned, observed, and acted with care. But the true challenge had yet to come. A faint vibration ran through the floor. Ethan looked up to see small lights flickering along the walls. The automated drones, long dormant, were beginning to respond to his presence. They were activating slowly, observing, measuring, and learning. The entity pulsed with a warning. The outpost was awakening, and with awakening came risk. Ethan's heart raced. He knew that he could not turn back. The knowledge was here, the entity was here, and the outpost was alive. He would have to continue, to face whatever challenges lay ahead, and to understand the purpose of the alien civilization that had built this place. As he left the chamber that night, Ethan felt a profound sense of connection, not only to the entity, but to the civilization that had created it, and to the future of humanity itself. The outpost had chosen him, and he would rise to the challenge. Tomorrow he would explore even further, uncover hidden technologies, and perhaps discover the ultimate purpose of the outpost and the entity it had preserved. Ethan had come to this planet seeking a new beginning, but he had found something far greater, a path to knowledge, power, and responsibility that could change everything for himself and for humanity. The crystalline chamber glowed faintly behind him, the entity inside pulsating with awareness. For the first time, Ethan understood that he was no longer merely an explorer. He was a participant in something larger. Ethan woke before dawn, his mind alive with the visions and knowledge the entity had shared. The outpost hummed softly beneath him, a rhythm he had grown accustomed to, but today felt different. The energy seemed stronger, more focused, as if the outpost itself was preparing him for something. He packed his tools quickly, anticipation urging him forward. He returned to the crystalline chamber. The entity pulsed faintly, acknowledging his presence. Ethan felt the connection deepen as he approached, and he knew this was the moment to take the next step. He activated the interface he had built, linking his workstation directly to the outpost systems. Immediately, the room shimmered with light. Holographic displays materialized around him, showing complex diagrams, energy flows, and devices he had only glimpsed in fragments before. The entity communicated through the interface. This time it was clearer, almost like thought speaking to thought. Images, feelings, and ideas flooded Ethan's mind. The outpost's purpose became more understandable. The aliens had sought to create intelligence amplification, a way to enhance cognitive and physical abilities. They had preserved the entity as a bridge, a living key to their knowledge. Ethan could feel a subtle surge of energy as he absorbed the information, his senses sharpening, his understanding expanding faster than he ever thought possible. He spent hours experimenting carefully. By following the entity's guidance, he learned to manipulate small energy flows within the outpost, activating dormant machinery without triggering defensive systems. He could sense patterns in the alien technology, predict the response of devices, and anticipate how systems interconnected. The outpost was teaching him step by step, preparing him for a greater task. As he moved through the outpost, he discovered rooms he had not yet seen. One contained alien drones, their shapes sleek and angular, dormant but intact. The entity guided him to reactivate them safely. At first he hesitated, worried that one mistake could cause a catastrophic failure, but the entity reassured him, and with careful precision he powered them up. The drones stirred, their sensors scanning him, then settling into a rhythm that followed his movements. They were not hostile, they were assistants, extensions of the outpost itself. Another chamber revealed archives of alien research. Holograms displayed experiments with energy manipulation, molecular reconstruction, and starship design. Ethan could hardly comprehend the complexity, yet the entity helped him understand the principles. He realized that this knowledge could transform humanity. Energy sources beyond fossil fuels, propulsion systems faster than light, and technologies that could heal or enhance life. The potential was overwhelming, but he also felt the responsibility pressing down on him. Such power could be misused if handled carelessly. Days passed, each one filled with discovery and practice. Ethan's abilities grew as he learned from the entity. His mind worked faster, and he could perceive the hidden functions of alien machinery. His reflexes sharpened, and his understanding of physics, energy, and biology expanded in ways he never imagined. The outpost was not only teaching him, it was unlocking potential within him that he had never known existed. One evening, while studying a set of holographic logs, Ethan noticed a recurring pattern. Certain outposts like this one existed throughout the galaxy. They were designed as a network, a web of knowledge and power preserved by the aliens. The entity pulsed urgently, emphasizing the importance of this discovery. By activating one outpost, he could potentially awaken others, creating a galaxy-wide network of intelligence and resources. Humanity could gain insight into technologies that had been lost for centuries, but there was risk. Activating the network could draw attention. The logs hinted at an interstellar predator, a destructive force that had threatened civilizations before. The aliens had built defenses, but the threat remained. Ethan understood that this was a turning point. He could choose to unlock the network now, advancing humanity, or wait until he had learned more, keeping the technology hidden. Ethan made his choice. Guided by the entity, he began preparing the central console in the outpost's command chamber. This console controlled the energy signature capable of reaching other abandoned hubs across the galaxy. He calibrated the system carefully, following the entity's instructions. Every adjustment had to be precise, or the energy could destabilize the outpost and destroy him. As he worked, the drones assisted, carrying components and interfacing with panels. The outpost responded to his presence, systems awakening slowly, energy flows stabilizing under his touch. The entity pulsed with encouragement, and Ethan felt a surge of confidence. He realized that the outpost had chosen him not just as an explorer, but as a guardian, someone capable of handling the responsibility of the alien legacy. Finally, after days of preparation, he was ready. The central console glowed brightly, energy coursing through the conduits connecting to the entity and the entire outpost. Ethan placed his hands on the control panel, feeling the hum of power beneath his fingertips. The entity pulsed stronger, guiding him to align the energy pathways. He focused, visualizing the network extending across the galaxy, connecting distant, forgotten outposts. With a deep breath, Ethan activated the signal. Light surged through the command chamber, and the outpost vibrated as if coming alive. The drones moved in unison, sensors scanning the environment while the entity's presence filled the chamber with awareness. In the distance, other outposts responded, energy flares pulsing faintly across the void. Humanity's reach had expanded, tapping into knowledge and technology long hidden. The moment was overwhelming. Ethan staggered back, his mind processing visions of distant systems, starships, energy grids, and alien technology awakening. The network was alive, responding to his presence and the entity's guidance. Humanity had entered a new era, one where exploration, discovery, and advancement were suddenly within reach. But the entity pulsed again, a warning this time. The interstellar predator the aliens had feared was still out there waiting. Its presence had been hinted at in the holograms, a shadow across the galaxy, drawn to the energy signature Ethan had just activated. He realized that this new power came with danger. Knowledge alone was not enough. Humanity would have to be prepared. Ethan spent the following days consolidating control over the Outpost's systems. He learned to communicate more directly with the entity, sharing thoughts and understanding more clearly. Together, they mapped the energy flows, strengthened defenses, and ensured that the outpost could withstand any threat long enough for humanity to respond. The entity taught him strategies the aliens had used, lessons in survival, adaptation, and foresight. During this time, Ethan discovered the true potential of the entity. It could enhance not only his understanding, but also his physical abilities. Through controlled exposure to its energy fields, he could process information faster, react quicker, and even manipulate small energy flows directly. The entity became a teacher, a guide, and a partner, expanding his capacity to learn and act. One evening, while surveying the outpost from a high corridor, Ethan felt a sense of awe. The barren planet stretched endlessly, silent and empty, but beneath its surface a network of energy and knowledge had awakened. Humanity's future had changed forever. The entity pulsed at his side, a quiet affirmation of their success. Together they had tapped into power and wisdom that could propel civilization forward. Yet Ethan remained humble. He knew that the activation of the network was only the beginning. The interstellar predator, the challenges of understanding alien technology, and the responsibility of guiding humanity's growth were yet to come. He had gained power, knowledge, and insight, but with them came duty, caution, and vigilance. That night, Ethan rested briefly, feeling the hum of the outpost beneath him. He reflected on how far he had come, from a man seeking escape to a human connected with an alien entity, capable of shaping the destiny of his species. The crystalline chamber pulsed softly, a steady rhythm, a reminder that the journey was ongoing. He knew that tomorrow would bring new discoveries, new challenges, and perhaps new dangers. But he also knew that he was no longer alone. Humanity had a guide, a protector, and a source of knowledge unlike anything before. And with the entity by his side, Ethan felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. The outpost had awakened, and with it, the potential of an entire species. Ethan had taken the first step, but the journey was far from over. And deep within the heart of the crystalline chamber, the entity waited, its awareness intertwined with his own, ready to reveal the next stage of a journey that could change the fate of humanity across the stars. Ethan awoke to a quiet hum that filled the outpost deeper and stronger than ever before. The crystalline entity pulsed beside him, its light brighter than he had ever seen. The energy network he had activated days ago had begun to resonate throughout the galaxy. Ethan felt it in his bones, a connection not only to the outpost but to a vast system of abandoned alien hubs now awakening in distant star systems. Humanity's future, fragile and uncertain just weeks ago, now shimmered with potential. He stood and gazed out across the barren landscape. The alien structures glowed faintly as energy pulsed through their walls. Drones moved silently, their sensors active, ensuring that the systems remained stable. The outpost, once silent and lifeless, now hummed with purpose as if the aliens who built it were watching him and nodding their approval. Ethan felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. This was no longer just about survival. It was about stewardship, about guiding humanity safely into a new era of knowledge and power. The entity pulsed gently, projecting visions directly into his mind. Ethan could see other hubs across the galaxy awakening, lights flickering in the void, dormant machines stirring, ancient archives illuminating. It was a network of knowledge and technology beyond anything humanity had imagined. The aliens had left it as a gift and a challenge for those who could rise to the task. Ethan realized that he had been chosen, not just as an explorer, but as a catalyst for humanity's transformation. For days he worked tirelessly, guided by the entity. Together they mapped the energy network, connected dormant hubs, and activated systems that had lain silent for centuries. Ethan learned to interpret alien languages, manipulate advanced energy sources, and repair complex machinery. Each step revealed new possibilities: propulsion systems that could carry ships faster than light, energy grids that could power entire cities sustainably, and devices that could enhance human cognition and physical abilities. But there were risks. The holographic logs from the alien civilization had warned of a predator, a destructive force that had hunted intelligent life across the galaxy. Ethan had felt it faintly, a presence in the darkness drawn to the energy the network now emitted. The entity guided him in strengthening defenses, creating shields around the outpost and programming automated drones to monitor for threats. Humanity's safety depended not only on the knowledge they now possessed, but on their ability to protect it. One evening, while studying a newly activated hub, Ethan noticed unusual energy fluctuations. The readings were faint at first, but they grew stronger, more deliberate. He realized the predator had sensed the network's awakening. Its presence was far away, but it was moving, and it would reach the hubs if left unchecked. Ethan's heart raced. The knowledge and power humanity had gained could be in danger. He had to act quickly. The entity pulsed urgently. Ethan understood that the network could be used not only to gather knowledge, but also to defend against the approaching threat. By synchronizing the hubs, creating a coordinated energy shield, they could prepare for the predator's arrival. It would take every ounce of his intelligence, every lesson the entity had taught him, to make it work. But he felt ready. The outpost had prepared him for this moment. He activated the command console connecting to the network. Holographic projections sprang to life, showing the locations of the other outposts, their energy flows, and the pathways the predator might take. Ethan coordinated the defenses, adjusting energy pulses, rerouting power, and activating drones across multiple systems. The entity worked with him seamlessly, projecting ideas, calculations, and solutions directly into his mind. Together, they formed a plan that no human alone could have conceived. Hours passed in a blur of activity. Ethan's mind moved faster than he thought possible, guided by the entity's wisdom. The energy flows stabilized, the shield strengthened, and the outposts across the galaxy responded to his commands. The predator, sensing resistance, slowed its advance, confused by the coordinated defenses. Ethan realized that knowledge combined with strategy and foresight could be humanity's greatest weapon. When the first waves of danger reached the network, the defenses held. Automated drones intercepted probes, energy shields absorbed attacks, and the hubs communicated seamlessly. Ethan watched in awe as the predator, a dark presence of immense power, recoiled against the combined strength of the outposts. Humanity, guided by a single human and an alien entity, had turned the tables. After the immediate danger passed, Ethan allowed himself a moment to breathe. The outpost hummed around him, calm now, as if acknowledging the victory. The entity pulsed gently, sending him a feeling of satisfaction and approval. They had not destroyed the predator, but they had delayed it, and humanity had proven that it could defend itself using intelligence, strategy, and courage. Ethan knew that the real challenge had just begun. The predator was still out there and other threats could emerge. But he also knew that humanity now had the tools, knowledge, and guidance to face them. The network was alive, and with it, the potential for exploration, discovery, and advancement was limitless. He felt a surge of hope for his species, for the first time in his life. In the following weeks, Ethan focused on consolidating the network. He ensured that each hub could operate autonomously, that knowledge could be shared safely, and that the energy flows were stable. The entity guided him in designing protocols, teaching him principles of governance, ethics, and strategy. Humanity would need more than technology. They would need wisdom to use it responsibly. Ethan also began preparing a plan for humanity's expansion. With the alien knowledge now accessible, humans could explore the stars, establish colonies, and unlock the full potential of science and technology. He envisioned a future where humans could travel faster than light, harness energy sustainably, and enhance their understanding of life itself. The outpost had given him a vision not only of survival, but of progress, of a civilization reaching its true potential. One evening, as he rested in the crystalline chamber, Ethan reflected on his journey. He had come here seeking escape, hoping for peace. Instead, he had found responsibility, knowledge, and a mission that reached across the galaxy. The entity pulsed beside him, a living reminder that he was not alone, that intelligence and curiosity could bridge the gap between species and time. He realized that humanity's true strength was not in machines or energy, but in the human mind, its ability to learn, adapt, and persevere. The outpost had been a test, and he had passed. Now it was time for humanity to rise, guided by wisdom, courage, and the lessons of an alien civilization that had long ago reached the stars. The first human starships, inspired by the designs in the alien archives, were ready to launch. Ethan watched them from the outpost's observation deck, their hulls gleaming under the alien sun. Humans would venture farther than ever before, exploring distant worlds, connecting with other civilizations, and discovering new knowledge. And behind every decision, every action, the entity would guide them, ensuring that humanity could wield its newfound power responsibly. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the barren landscape in hues of purple and gold, Ethan stood in the crystalline chamber. The entity pulsed steadily beside him, and the outpost hummed with life and energy. He smiled, knowing that he had changed the course of history. Humanity's future was no longer uncertain. It was full of potential, guided by intelligence, courage, and curiosity. Ethan raised his hand toward the entity. It pulsed in response, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they shared. Together they had awakened knowledge, defended life, and created a path forward. Humanity had transcended the limits of its previous existence, stepping into a new era where exploration, understanding, and growth were not only possible but inevitable. And somewhere, across the galaxy, other outposts pulsed with life, waiting to share their knowledge, waiting to guide humanity further. The predator still lurked in the darkness, but Ethan was confident that humans could face it. With the entity as their ally and their own minds sharpened by challenge and discovery, they were no longer simply survivors. They were explorers, innovators, and guardians of their own destiny. Ethan took one last look at the outpost, the place that had become a gateway to the stars. He had come here to start over, seeking peace, and he had found a purpose greater than he could have imagined. Humanity's story had changed forever, and it was only the beginning. The outpost had awakened, the entity had guided, and now, humanity had the chance to reach for the stars and to shine among them. The crystalline chamber glowed softly as Ethan stepped back, allowing the entity to pulse freely. Outside, the first starships of humanity soared into the unknown, carrying the knowledge, hope, and courage of a species ready to take its place among the stars. The journey was just beginning, and the future was bright. Ethan smiled, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. He had moved to an abandoned alien outpost to start over, and in doing so, he had changed the fate of his species forever. The entity pulsed beside him, a silent companion and guardian, and together they looked toward a galaxy full of possibilities. Humanity had transcended.